Yes. And I don't know if you noticed the 3, 1, 4, 1, 5. Did you know what that was about? That is the mathematical interpretation of pi. Here he is just now, Mr. Pi himself.
Right, let me first say just how hard it is for me to stand up as is the tradition and make a fool of my wee brother who, even after everything he's done to me over the years, they say that blood is thicker than water, and can honestly say that Callum's thicker than both. As Callum's brother and best man, I'd like to thank David for his kind words, for Callum for his speech, and my dad for saying something. I've got a couple of cards to read out. First of all, just people who couldn't be here, wishing love to the happy couple, Catherine and Robert, who couldn't be here, and to Tina and Uncle John. And also have an email from Kleenex saying that they'd be happy to sponsor me. Any other on behalf of everyone here, all the guests, I think we'd like to thank the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith and both sets of parents for having us here. It's been fantastic to be here, so thanks to you all. It's as a few people have indicated, it's a bit of a relief to be here on this beautiful island and in this fantastic marquee, because last week it was a bit of a struggle. Decided to put it up themselves, and phone calls home, phone calls to the manufacturer trying to get this thing constructed, but thankfully they got it done. And Callum, I just hope that that's the last of your erection problems. Right. I just thought I'd share a quote from the inimitable Greek philosopher Socrates. He is one of the smartest guys around of his generation, although he didn't have a great love and passion for maths, but we'll not hold that against him. But anyway, he said this, he said, by all means marry. If you get a good wife, then you'll be happy. And if you get a bad one, then you can become a philosopher. Now, I think that for sure Callum's going to be happy, because first of all I think he's found a good wife in Zara, and secondly, he couldn't even spell the word philosopher. Now, I love having Callum as a brother, and he's got loads of great qualities that people have already alluded to this afternoon. One of them that he's got now, but it was a bit of a slow burner, was decision making. This wasn't something that came naturally to him, and in fact it's something he's honed over the years and developed over the years. Now, Callum and I went to the Mills Primary, and Elaine reminded me that George and Rita, who aren't here today, once asked when Callum was about 3 or 4, asked my mum and dad, do you think he'll ever go to mainstream school? But he made it, right? And the first time my mum was quite reluctant to let us go. Every day she would give us a kiss, we'd be off to school. Come back at lunch, boys. Come back home for your lunch. She would come home and we'd get a lunch and we'd get a kiss, back off to school. And I mean, to be honest, Callum was doing this up right up until he was working at Missouri. But once or twice we were allowed to go for school dinners, and this was always this is a big deal. So Callum's first time, came up to the counter, looked at everything on offer. The woman asked him what he'd like, and he said mashed potatoes. Fair enough, mashed potatoes, fine. But then she said, what would you like to go with it? And he looked over it and he saw his second favourite, no bother, I'll have the rice please. So not a classic combination, mashed potato and rice, but no amount of persuasion was going to get him to change the rice. So he stuck with that. But the time he was into secondary school, he was still getting to grips with thinking on his own and independent thinking. And he came home after his standard grade English exam, and we'd all been dreading it as much as he had. And he told us that he decided to write. He'd had to write a wee definition of a word. That was one of the questions that he'd chosen. He had to write a definition for this word. He said, but I just didn't know. I mean, he gave it a go, but he'd never even heard of the word subtle. And we said to him, well, to be honest, Carl, neither did we. But with his school days over, he's began to get the hang of this decision-making business. He made the choice of going to do engineering. And okay, he went to Paisley Uni, but 1 out of 2 ain't bad. And to be honest, this was a masterstroke, because as my dad said, you know, Callum's always been the apple of his eye. He's wee prodigy. The two of them have always been able to do things with a wrench that I can only dream of. And then there was Zara. What a choice! Gavin Smith was just saying how he couldn't believe himself thinking as Zara walked down the aisle what a stunning dress that was. He'd never come across that experience, but he asked me not to share this. Gav's standing up in the back here. Right, so Callum made a great choice, but I mean, quite how shy Callum managed to charm this athletic, outgoing stunner on their quiet walks in the country remains a mystery to this day, but at least now it's clear that Callum could see a good thing. You know, he was able to spot a good thing when he saw one. And Callum's the kind of guy who doesn't have loads of friends who he just knows on a sort of shallow basis. Callum likes to have, like, invest all his time and focus all his attention on his family and a few close friends. When Callum was at school, he had a wee pal called Johan, and the two of them were just best buddies, and they were everywhere together. And when Johan eventually left, his family were moving back to France. Callum was totally gutted because of all the time that he'd spent with Johan. And he is a real, like, family guy. He's been a brilliant brother to me, and we've been, Lane and I have just found it amazing to see what a fantastic uncle he's become to Daisy and Heidi. And it's been great to Callum and Zara. I'd love to offer to come round and babysit the girls almost as much as Lane and I allow. Look forward to escaping for the night, to be honest. And I know that that sort of commitment to forming real important relationships, I'm sure that's something that's going to help you guys in marriage. You know. Finally, I'm impressed by how mature and even wise Callum's become over the years, and especially these days. I mean, a lot of us who've been married for a while make naive mistakes, especially financially, but a sign of Callum's wisdom recently was the fact that he gave Zara a very precise wedding budget. It was very, very well laid out. I was impressed with that. But something else that's...
It hasn't.
Oh, well, I don't know. Good point. But anyway...
Zara has really taken after her father.
The other thing that they've done recently, another thing that shows their wisdom is the fact that, as people mentioned, they choose to put God first in their life. I remember when Zara came back from the Impact World Tour, she was on a mission in America for 15 months, and when she came back, her and Callum really sat down and they talked a lot about their relationship. And it was, at one point we didn't know, was this going to go any further, and they said, look, if God doesn't want us to be together, then this will be the end of our relationship. But I'm just so over the moon that God showed his blessing on them, and he said, yeah, I do want this day to happen. I want us all to be here celebrating your relationship, and it's really strengthened them and as a couple, and I'm glad to say that we can be here and celebrate that today. So I'll just finish with another quote from Socrates. Who said this? He said, Our prayers should be for blessings in general, for God knows best what is good for us. And so as we toast the happy couple, I'd like to say, guys, that I'm going to continue to pray for you and I wish you all the best in your marriage. Callum and Zara.
I always knew that he was Mr. Pie, but with some of those stories there, I think I've got a new name for him, Mr. Porky Pie. What we're going to do now is just give thanks for our time together and for the food, and then we'll be able to eat. Let's pray together, shall we pray?